Despite their assurance that Chrissy would ride for Jim whatever, today she is not riding and is crying uncontrollably on her knees in the middle. Because of traffic, paramedics had to take her from the sidewalk. Only hours before Jim Jones was shackled, humiliated, and hauled out, Camron's staff, not the media, are the ones who began it. Police officer's family by leaking an effing documentary rather than a clip. Chrissy was ignorant of the hotel security footage, which included voice notes and erased texts. All of the stuff had been deposited in a burner account that is already. To make matters worse, the voice in that video is rapidly gaining views. Wasn't Jim's, but someone who was far too close to Chrissy's. Remarks convey the sense that their relationship is a lengthy setup. This is not hip-hop drama or love, but treachery on a magnitude no one was expecting. Harlem is in disarray as a result of the internet's explosion. Chrissy warned me that this would happen if I ever admitted the truth. Just as everyone thought things couldn't get much worse for Chrissy, she whispered something beneath her breath that caused the police to stop word on the street that she was being watched, not by admirers or paparazzi, but by what insiders now refer to as a secret surveillance squad, according to multiple accounts. Camron's cousin, who formerly worked in private security, well known for reasons no one is willing to openly admit. Politicians are reportedly keeping tabs on Chrissy's whereabouts. One anonymous source tipper even claimed, "They're not just watching her. They're waiting for no one knows what that something is, except for terror." The expression on Chrissy's face told the full story. When she was sighted at a gas station in New Jersey, her hands were shaking, pacing back and forth while speaking on the phone. This is where things truly go. However, Camron's aunt is the same lady with whom he had a falling out with Chrissy in the early 2000s following a backstage incident at Bet. A handwritten note to a gossip website said Chrissy was the one who police were told about Jim's undercover rendezvous with former crew members. Members that were under federal surveillance is beyond treachery. It's let us clarify that this isn't just a tabloid gossip. The letter is signed, dated, and bears the words fire, which Chrissy always knew. The streets weren't meant for Jim. So she's playing cleanup crew to preserve the streets were blazing with blogs, and Chrissy, the informant, became a prominent topic on Black One user on Twitter, stated, "If yell, I don't believe Chapo's girl snitched," and sobbed on Instagram Live. Another person said, "She cried too. That's guilt, not grief." How about the video that went popular on the as soon as this letter was released? Did it hit the internet? Camron's family revealed what they called the final straw, which was altered to resemble a Netflix teaser, and began with surveillance video. From a rooftop lounge in Manhattan, Jim gives a strange envelope to there is no sound from the hooded figure. Simply a terrifying calm. 5 minutes later, Chrissy emerges from an Uber appearing uncomfortable and worried. Jim is in handcuffs. FBI coats flash on the block. But here's the catch. What the public didn't see, the entire tale has been twisted by Camron's cousin, who published the video. As we watched conspiracy theories, she knew she was leading him. One well-known thread started to circulate on YouTube, Reddit, and even TikTok. Examined it like a scene from a movie. Chrissy convinces Jim to reunite with previous members too. She unwittingly gives a time. And she ends up crying knowing what will happen. Knowing that the federal government has been monitoring and people were intrigued, including Mona Scott, who has previously declined to comment on a number of troubling situations posted. A mysterious adage, sometimes quiet saves the guilty, supporters believe. It was addressed at Chrissy. Now let's analyze the purported financial paper trail. According to multiple unsubstantiated sources, 2 days before Jim's detention, Chrissy opened a new offshore account and deposited $250,000. It is a coincidence that nobody suspects that one user transmitted the money to a shell. A firm owned by one of Camron's uncles even tweeted a screenshot of the claimed transfer, along with the declaration she cashed in her man for clout and a payoff. The tale is exploding, with some accusing Chrissy of being a government operative, while some claim she was deceived by whatever the truth is. It's messier than we've ever seen. And if you believe Jim doesn't know, according to insiders, he is refusing Camron's family to believe Jim. He was set to leave her for someone younger, so she panicked and made deal with the same woman who supported him during his comebacks label. After disagreements and a dozen near breakups, she is now refusing to answer her phone calls while he is in jail. He is growing extremely chilly. And the court date, people close to Chrissy believe she isn't sleeping, eating, or she was continually checking her phone, as if she were waiting and had been noticed. She wears sunglasses at night and walks with her head down twice a week. When we thought the narrative was cooling down, Camron's sister came in with another bombshell. Yep, you read it right. She published a black and white picture of Chrissy and Jim, used a broken caption emoji with a heart and the words "you knew better." In less than 2 hours, the article received over 80,000 likes. And the comments were a total jumble, with some people are defending Chrissy, while others are pushing for her to come clean. Had always been famed for her toughness, the woman who had weathered the storm of love and hip-hop's ruin, and her torrid affair with Jim that appeared invincible. But she pushed for a full-blown reunion program to be shown. Everything was far from ideal within their locked walls, and she had supported Jim through his legal troubles for years, and his street remained stable. However, the public never saw the Fishers' late-night fights or murmured worries the woman who had previously navigated the tempestuous the world of reality TV was suddenly embroiled in a real-life drama that was far more perilous and tough, because of her unwavering resolve to learn the truth, which she felt she had to battle for both Jim and herself. Something beyond her. Chrissy started by reviewing each single chat, and she cautiously sought out 2 old friends who were aware of the minor clue she may have missed. That anyone could be tied to Camron's scheme, and the lawyer's words resonated in her head. They've been making a case portion of something much larger. This wasn't just a situation. While some were empathic and whispering, others were frigid, clearly distancing themselves from personal grudges. Jim was in what appeared to be an unintentional casualty of a strategic chess. The first surprising discovery was found while playing a game with layers. A low-level helper who worked for Cameron's relative. They were terrified, but they felt obligated to Chrissy, so they wrote her a cryptic message anonymously. The dates matched the offshore activity, so Chrissy returned to the supposed financial documentation trails the $250,000. Cameron's uncle's shell corporation, ALLEGEDLY, deposited into her offshore account. Account suddenly appeared to be a meticulously organized setup. What if it was not a reward for her snitching, but a contrived transaction designed to bring when Chrissy informed her lawyer about the situation? He recognized the pattern, aside, and remarked, "This is classic entryment." But they weren't simply wanting to eliminate Jim and disparaging everyone who supports him, especially the coordinated leaks from the spying. The subsequent portion of the documentary revealed that everything was as part of a larger, well-planned defamation operation. Chrissy's memory of an apparently Jim had an innocuous conversation with a distant relative about a business opportunity that would set them up for life. At the time, she rejected it as normal. Rise to a conundrum. Presently, Jim bravado responded, focusing on the specifics. The relatives suggested new companions who were well-connected and had eyes. Cameron's family could be tied to these partners she assigned. Chrissy, her private investigator, was secretly hired by a trustworthy off-the-books buddy to investigate Cameron's family's finances. Transactions and previous contacts revealed a surprising network of offshore shell firms and dubious investments, many of which have contact with people who were known to be involved in severely unlawful activity. Even worse, there were other incidents in which these individuals had legal concerns. As Jim's preliminary hearing date approached, he was charged. A strong covert legal practice with ties to influential political individuals were unexpectedly dropped, or inquiries. Cameron's cousin had worked for this firm and approached with a fresh sense. Chrissy not only defended Jim, but she also exposed a wider conspiracy, was willing to disclose her discoveries not only to clear their names, but also to destroy the sophisticated trap that had the world witnessed Chrissy's weeping. But they were set to see her battle, and the somber figure was now warrior prepared to approach the storm directly with the truth she had battled so. It was difficult to ignore the continuous feeling that something was missing. Followed by Chrissy made the ultimate discovery late one evening while scrolling through her phone. A new message from an unknown number arrived. It was brief and read, "The reality is worse than you believe it is." Being prepared by shaking hands. When Chrissy clicked on the link and I was startled to watch a brand new film that had never seen before. This time it wasn't Jim on the television, but she hadn't anticipated one of them. As evidenced by a conversation between Jim and Camron, was Jim's closest buddies. Never wanted to be the fall man. Rather, this was a carefully planned move that would bring down the most scary aspect of the empire. Jim's construction was Chrissy, who was playing the game in the background without realizing it as the screen turned black. Chrissy's world collapsed again, but it wasn't the night Chrissy watched that last tape. All she believed Jim was aware of her life, as was she. Fell apart. She was in the core of conspiracy, was recently caught in it. The truth about you. Jim was not scandalous. Just the man she had backed for years. He was a pawn in a larger, riskier game. that was properly prepared by. She could even claim that it was she had never been more nasty. I assumed Chrissy believed she could trust, but in the center of everything, she was divided between devotion and deceit. With a strong desire to discover the truth, the video appeared unexpectedly. Terrified Camron, the man who had once named Jim, his sibling, was observed chuckling with one of Jim's best pals. The conversation, it appeared to be informal at first, but it was instantly clear that they were prepared to set up Chrissy's collapse, was far more significant than she had expected, and she played the role of understanding girlfriend in the background, naive of the insanity that was going on around her darker intentions at work. As she watched, Chrissy's heart raced again. Throughout the video, her mind was whirling with unanswered questions about why she hadn't noticed. How did Camron contribute to the symptoms? In all of this, how long had Camron's family had been plotting this treachery? She was only a pawn, an instrument for achieve a goal in a game she was ignorant of. She was playing. Shortly after the video, Chrissy's name became viral. Everyone's lips on all social media platform and gossip website. Despite that, the comment sections were filled with accusations, judgments, and hatred. So it wasn't the support she had hoped for. Was she on it? Inquired about how long she was aware of Jim's filthy transactions. The world has turned against her, and the only person she needed most in the middle of the upheaval was Chrissy, who could hardly. Jim no longer looks at the television. While incarcerated, she had to face her war alone. But Chrissy wasn't one to back down. She had experienced worse before. Her entire life had been probed by the public. If she knew how to, she was willing to do everything to survive. Woman who has earned a living from reality TV drama had battled the first step. It was clear she needed to learn everything. In the middle of the night, Chrissy made a decision regarding her private life. She had been fighting to keep just the private was now thrust into the public spotlight in the most explosive way. It is feasible that this would change everything. She decided to approach Camron immediately. After all, Camron wasn't simply any individual, he was a guy with authority and a personal purpose. But Chrissy wasn't afraid. She had to go. She could get directly to the source if she wished. Learn the truth about the phone discussion was tight with each word. Pause and silence. I feel like a mind poised to explode. The Chrissy's voice faltered when she said, I know what you've been doing. She added later. A long pause. I know you've been behind everything. Leaks the videos. I'd like to know why the lies are you're doing this to Jim, and you don't understand. Chrissy, Camron stated calmly and quietly. Voice. Chrissy briefly believed he was ready to hang up. It's not about Jim. It has never been about Jim. It is about you. He stated that you and your allegiance are been in his way the whole time, safeguarding him and acting on his behalf. Representative, but you were ignorant of the whole incident, wasn't you? What do you mean? Jim and Chrissy felt the Camron went with blood draining from her face. He went on to add that he has been taking action. You are tugging cords with others. Totally ignorant that you have been blinded by love, but it's too late now. There is no avoiding the grasp of Chrissy closed the phone carefully. So what? You believe you'll harm him and us? No.